and welcome to Sporting Jibberish. I'm Stuart Booth.
I'm Jack Luffman. A summer special.
It is. It's well, we're going to call it a pre-season special. Actually, let's go Ashes special because all he ever does is talk about Ashes.
Hang on a minute. I've got a feeling you were the first one to text me about it on Sunday.
Well,
He's got the bug. He's got the bug. I'm telling you.
I wouldn't say a bug. I'd say I find it very interesting with the old Bazball. I've even got the techers down, but we're going to be talking a little bit about the Ashes. We'll be talking about pre-season, transfers are going in and out, and thoughts coming into the big season, especially with, and I think you guys are at a bit of a crucial point in transfers. So I'd like to explore Spurs in a little bit more detail.
Talking to a colleague this morning when we were at work, and he's a fellow Spurs fan, and we had the same conversation. I don't know what you're going to ask me, but I've got a feeling we sort of discussed the same subjects.
I'll tell you what, we'll start with our seasons are finished, done and dusted, nothing really to report other than league top goal scorer, club top goal scorer, manager's player of the year. Apart from that, we'll just leave that to the side. Harry, I scored more than you.
That's the main thing.
By 5, I think. 5 goals.
Good effort, well done, Stu.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Pat on the back.
Cheers, man. Cheers, man.
Work.
Right, okay.
Are we going on tour, by the way?
Oh, yes, you are touring in 2 weeks' time?
17th. Week commences 17th, where the Wanderers are going to Woodall.
Currently are sponsored by
Sporting Jibberish. Yes, so a family affair, some might say, but yeah. So the boys are looking forward to it. 1 or 2 people didn't go last year. 1 or 2 people's first trip to the UK. So Tina's one of those guys. So he's
managed to get a visa.
He's got his visa. He's sorted. He's off. He's very excited.
He must have backhanded somebody.
Yeah, I don't know what's going off there, but he's in. He's in the country. That's all that matters.
Just out of interest, how did you get on last year when you played Woodall?
In the actual Woodall game, we actually lost. We did lose, but we won. That was the only game we lost. Oh no, we lost to Links Development when we should have won that. But so we won more than we lost on tour last year. So hopefully we'll go pretty similar this year.
Okay, but the aim is to beat Woodall.
Yeah, it needs to be. And to be fair, you never know. I might actually be pulling on the Woodall colours when I'm back because. Well, I don't know what she says about me, but they are struggling a little bit, put it that way. They're second bottom.
Oh my God, I'm going to end up getting called up at this rate.
I've not even picked a bat up since the last Ramadan game, whenever that was. When was that? 6 weeks ago?
Possibly.
So I'm going to go out and have a net after this, I think, on your massive field.
Yeah, that's what you call it.
Well, I would, but it's about 70 degrees.
I think we're in 50 today here, but it's a bit of a warm one. Right,
anyway,
okay. So let's go with the Ashes. We'll start with the Ashes. First game at Lords.
Edgbaston first one.
Oh, it was Edgbaston,
yeah.
sorry. Edgbaston first one, Lords the second one. Lost both. But let's look at Edgbaston first. Just a quick thing, because there was a major talking point, and it's day one.
Yeah.
That retirement cost them?
Declare. I don't think so. I predicted, I was watching a few mates, and I predicted, because at one point England looked like they were going to get bowled out for like 180 or something at one point, and I said at that point, I guarantee you Jimmy Anderson won't bat this innings, because I even think that if they got to the point where they were going to get rolled, it would not have surprised me if he just pulled them then. So once they got that, decent score, and once we got to 100, he read the room, Stokes. The Hollis is off their heads. They were going all right, and I know people say, Root was under than 10 over, but there's only 6 overs left in the day. If he got through that, how many more ones would they've got? Maybe not that many. Only takes 2 balls to get the wicket. So I don't think he did the wrong thing. I don't think what cost us was missed chances. We should have won the test match. It's nothing to do with the declaration, because you'd argue the reason we got to the point where it went down to the last half an hour of play was because we declared and we didn't waste that end. So it wasn't a declaration, it was missed chances. Unfortunately, and I have a rant about the squad, unfortunately, the missed chances.
Are you going to talk about the wicket keeper?
Cost us. He did, unfortunately.
But to be fair, the both tests have not been particularly brilliant in the field.
No, they haven't. They've certainly not been as good as the Australians. And actually, it's unfortunately a bit like goalkeepers, isn't it? They always say in cricket, I always remember as a lad that when I actually did a little bit of wicket keeping, that the coach always say, they take the lead from the keeper. If the keeper's performing well, he's lively, he's buzzy, everybody joins in. And at the moment, Alex Carey, the Australian keeper, has well and truly outplayed Bairstow with bat, ball and everything else around.
Okay, well, I'm going to throw it back and say I think the declaration was, with Root being on the score he was at, and like you're saying, only 6 overs left, why not just say, swing away, boys? And then you've got that little bit more time for them, well, a little bit less time for them to bat on the last day.
It's an interesting, and I guess that's the margins, isn't it?
Yeah, and I also feel that he also put himself in a corner for that, because he declared that before the test had even started, that he was going to do something like that. And I think he probably got himself pinned in a corner going, oh, I've shouted my mouth off, I'm going to do this. And then it came to it, so then he felt like he was forced to do it. So I'm going to throw it the other way around, and I'm going to be like, I think it potentially costs. I agree with what you're saying with the stumping and the wicket keeping.
Yeah.
That's cost massively. And I think in the field generally, England have been a little bit sloppy in comparison to
definitely
Australia.
in the first test. I think when it's close games, you know as well, when you lose 1-0 in the final, it gets to penalties or something like that. In cricket, if you lose by a real narrow margin, 1-1, 2-1, 1-1, everybody goes back to the real minor things. Yeah. But ultimately, over 5 days, were Australia better than us? Yeah, they were, and they won the game. But it is an interesting point, and I think you're right. What did the Arctic monkeys say? Don't believe the hype. You know, there's an element of that probably over both 2 test matches to a degree. But
the good thing is, and this is why I'm probably watching it, is it's been the most competitive it's been for a long time.
100%. I said that again this morning to somebody, that at least now we're competitive. 2019 Ashes was competitive. The last 2 overseas, so 2 out of the last 3.
Just been walkovers.
Just been out, and not just walkovers where, you know, back in the 90s and the early 2000s when I would have been watching it, when we got hammered and what have you. But that was because there was just this massive gulf, and they were just way better than us. The last Ashes series, I just thought we were meek and we were mild, and we were just, you know, really, really poor. And I think there's a difference. So yeah, you know, they've all got it up against, obviously, Lords. They're now 2-0 down, so to come back 3-2 would be remarkable.
Yeah. But I think when we look at Lords and you look at the aspects of that, after England's first innings in Australia had batted twice, it looked game over for England. And then the skipper's turned up and he's put on a performance, potentially one of the best performances we've seen in a long time from any batsman.
Yeah, I mean, you're right that England were probably never, other than when they won the toss and everybody thought, here we go, other than from that point up until sort of ironically Stokes going in that hour either side of lunch, they were way behind the game. But yeah, he's obviously done it. He's done it 3 times previously. He did it in the 2019 World Cup. He did it 2019 Ashes. Did it in the T20 World Cup in October, and he almost did it again. And it's phenomenal. I think it's been said before. I think the biggest thing, and having sort of, I'm not going to say similar positions, but when you're chasing a total and you know it's all on one man, and for him to keep his calm and be so concise in what he was doing, and he said afterwards, you know, he was only ever going to hit the boundary to that side. It was short. It was with the slow. He couldn't hit it against us. To think about that in that, with everything that's going on, it's just incredible. And you've talked about being an elite sportsman, and it's in the mind. I mean, there's probably no bigger example.
No. I think it'd probably be a little bit disappointed where he got out though.
I think
because he has trying to get his bat around it to get across it. And
they'd obviously just gone a bit wider and a bit wider,
Yeah.
and there's a bit of frustration there, I think, because all of a sudden the run rate, not that the run rate was ever a problem, but when you're doing that, you need to feel like you're still on top.
Yeah, well, I think Australia were doing well though to put pressure on, because they had nowhere getting out and they were trying to force Broad on the strike, and you could see where they're fielding. They were like, you're going to hit us, you've got to hit us for a 6. And then they were closing in when it was coming up to the end of the over. So it was quite, even though games slowed down in temperament and tempo, it became more of a tactical battle there.
Yeah, one of my biggest frustrations after Stokes was out was that Robinson, who can hold a bat,
just kept swinging.
Just showed the fact that Broad has shown so much gut and resilience. Obviously, he was up for the fight because of the Bairstow thing, and then the 2 lads after, Tong and Anderson, batted. I don't know what the stats were. They must have batted for half an hour at least. You know, if Robinson had actually shown the same desire as those other 3 in that tail end and had batted for as long, you never know.
Yeah.
Because arguably, he's probably, of those 4, he's probably at the moment the better bat.
You needed one of them, didn't you, to get up to about 20, 30, just to then make it.
You know, and And then of course Broad was always good. Once Ollie Robinson had gone out, he was always then going to try and play some shots. So it just, that frustrated me a little bit. I'm not saying that we would have won the game. I just thought that the other three bowlers showed so much grit and determination, and Ollie Robinson just, what I think Ollie Robinson does do a little bit is I'm not sure he's up for the fight sometimes. Gives it the big un. Yeah. I'm not quite sure how much he's up for the fight.
Carrying some timber as well.
I think he's lost some as well, hasn't he?
Right, let's talk about the Bairstow incident, because that's probably a crucial talking point in regards to probably swing, because if you keep Bairstow in and then he stays in, like you're saying, another half an hour.
Yeah. I mean, there's no doubt that was the big wicket in that run check. Once we got to, what day was it? Sunday morning, day 5. The big partnership was always going to be, or whatever it came, was going to be the one. Once Bairstow came in, now as it happened, it was with Stokes because Duckett left out, Gobb was out. That was always the big one because that's the last of the recognised batsmen. Look, my opinion is this: it was out. Bairstow was dozy. I think that's kind of surmises where he's at with his cricket at the minute. He got 70 in the first innings at Edgbaston, brilliant, but he's not played a lot. I'm not quite sure how fit he is since that big break of the leg. I think he's up against it. He was clearly in a bubble. He was dozy, he was out. Because, and the reason I say that is because it's all in one movement. If Carey had held it, and then gone, but it's all in one movement. That said, it doesn't look good.
Right, so this was my next question, is because Sid Cummins has been questioned about what's called the spirit of the game.
Yeah,
so would you say that's out of context, the spirit of the game?
No, I don't. My point is, I think he's out. I just don't think it looks very good, and I can see both sides of the argument. When Stokes says, and I don't think Stokes is just being white because they're saying black. I think he's genuine, saying that I wouldn't want that to happen. I want to win a game like that. I would recall them back. I have to believe that's what he actually genuinely believes in the heat of the moment, and I think because of what I've just said, he has very lots of clarity in high pressure situations. So I think he would do that. I just think he was dozy. That said, if you lead up to the build-up, if you've seen the highlights where they show 3 or 4 balls previous where Bairstow does exactly the same, so he plays a shot or he ducks or whatever, and he does touch back and then goes. So they're saying, this is where the two sides, Australia are going, well, look, we've seen him do it, we're going to have him. England are saying, well, look, he's touched back in, almost like in the back garden, and then off we go. I just think he's dozy, personally. There's no excuse, though, for the behaviour of the Lords members thereafter.
Oh, yeah, I believe 3 or 4 got kicked out, didn't they?
Well, they did get kicked out, and they've since been suspended, I think. And it wasn't a good look. It's great that we've now allowed access into the long room, because it's obviously the traditions and the home of English cricket, but to see that behaviour towards, a bit of booing I can accept, a bit of cheap, but obviously something has been said. I picked it up as I was watching it live when Khawaja stopped. I just hope there's nothing too bad that's been said.
I'll tell you what makes me giggle is Broad turns to Carey and says, that's the only thing you're going to be known for.
Out of all of it, I was talking to Ash over Twitter and over the thing, all of it, the best thing out of all that drama, Broad just loves it. Did you see him for an hour and a half? He went in like you were playing in the back garden. Absolute brilliant. Top word that. So
2-0 down. What were you thinking? If we win the next one, we're in with a sniff, or do you think it's a case of just trying to get a point on the board now?
Yeah, I think if we win at Headingley and it's 2-1, I think you'd argue that you're in with a shout. My fear is that with the English weather, we've been fairly lucky, touchwood, with it. There's a bit of rain around at Lords, that you think that maybe that might affect one of the test matches in the future, which means then do we get a result? So of course, as soon as there's a draw now, that's it. Ashes, because those who aren't aware, Australia are the holders, so 2-2.
You have to win it in order to
regain it. Yeah. So, but I mean, typical Stokes in his interview after said we beat Pakistan 3-0 in the winter away from home that nobody expected us to do. We beat New Zealand 3-0 in big run chases here at home, nobody expected us to do. So he said if we do 3-0 now, we win the series.
Yeah, so. I think there's, like I said, there's an element of interest. I just worry that England's lack of attack in the bowling is going to cost them, and especially when you're relying on Anderson, who hasn't had his best 2 games. Broad is still doing a bit. I'm not sure. Tom came in and did, but he's a lot faster.
Yeah.
And who's the other one?
Robinson.
Robinson. I'm not overly I've not been overly impressed with him.
I think you're playing through. I think you're right. I think Anderson, there's some questions. Is this it? I always thought that it should be his last series anyway. But has he lost that zip, or is it because of the pitches or whatever? Broad has done really well, probably the best bowler, but can he then go, same with Anderson, well all of them really, can the bowlers go 3 test matches back to back? And that's hard graft. If it was me, if everybody was fit, I'd play Anderson, Broad, I'd keep Tong in, and I'd bring Wood in.
Where's Archer?
Injured.
As again?
All out, yeah.
Guys always injured.
I think, don't be surprised you'd never see him play for England again.
Wow.
He will. I've got a feeling that when he declares himself fit, or when he is fully fit, he probably be one of the first to have one of these franchise contracts. He'll franchise to the Indians or something like that. Where obviously they have franchises all around the world now, and then that doesn't mean that he wouldn't be available for England, but he'd have to have permission to play for England from Mumbai or whoever,
and not
the way around. And I think that, and to be fair to him, if you've got a long-standing or an fractured elbow, stress fracture, whatever it is, what am I going to do? I'm going to risk my body playing 1 test match and then not play again all year, or can I get through 4 overs and earn stupid money? So disappointing. I hope I'm wrong, but don't be surprised.
Okay, right. We'll park Ashes there. Is it a week and a half for the next test?
Thursday.
This Thursday. Wow, so it's pretty close. And we're going to go move on to football.
Yeah.
So there's been a fair bit of interest in the market as we speak, and we did say the other day, it seems to be quiet, and then all of a sudden it just
ramped up. Bowling?
It did, when we went bowling.
I enjoyed it.
Tell you what.
You're not bad, are you?
I enjoyed it. The little lady, you're a good player. How long have you been playing for? 12 months.
Yeah, I did tell her not to believe you though. Yeah. So don't believe what he's saying. He's been doing all his life.
Oh my goodness, I love a bit of it. I'm like Kingpin.
He's actually better than the people who run it.
Sorry.
Yeah. True story.
True story. But yeah, enjoyed that. So we had a little bit of a chat. But yeah, for Liverpool, McAllister was a done deal. Declan Rice at the time when we spoke on Sunday was looking like Arsenal, but not confirmed. Mason Mount looked like it was dead in the water, but that's now suddenly changed. And then Liverpool have gone in for this Hungarian Dominic. Good luck saying that last name.
Is he from Red Bull Salzburg or Red Bull Leipzig or whatever?
Leipzig, because I think it's part of. It wouldn't surprise me if because Cannavaro's gone there.
Right.
So I wouldn't be surprised if the deal. But looking at the Dominic S, I'm just going to call him until we work out.
Just call him Dom.
Big Dom has got better stats in football than McAllister. But then when I delved a little bit deeper, it turns out that Dom last season has been playing more of an inverted winger role than an actual centre midfielder. So his stats for Hungary are very good. Not really known, but 22 years old.
Yeah,
that bolsters Liverpool's midfield. So we've got 22-year-old new signing, 24-year-old new signing. I didn't realise Henderson's actually older than Thiago.
Yeah.
Henderson's 32, Thiago 31. Guess how old Fabinho is?
24.
You're like looking at him, you're going, the guy's 40. He's easily 40, 29.
29, yeah.
And then you've got Harvey Elliott, and then somebody said to me this morning, what about Curtis Jones? I'm like, you're going to win a league, he doesn't play.
And also Trent.
Yeah, but I've had a few discussions about
it's an option, isn't it?
I would say Trent, they do exactly what they've done with Trent. I'd argue that if Trent's in there all the time as another midfielder, somebody's going to man-to-man mark him. When he comes in from right back, he brings an extra player in and there's nobody to then go and deal with him. So then it's causing teams problems because they've got nobody then to then go and pick him up because it's drifting from a different position. It's inverted fullbacks. It's nothing different to what Man City were doing a few years ago.
No, and also, like, even when he played for England in there, okay, they did play with a right back, but he didn't really. I didn't watch all the games, so I only watched clips. But he didn't really play as a centre midfielder. He almost played like an old style inside and right, didn't he? So almost like an additional fullback, but inverted. So, but it looks, your midfield looks more balanced now, doesn't it, in terms of age at the very least.
I think for legs
and a bit more creativity with McAllister in there than will probably. Because you'd argue, wouldn't you, that at your best the midfield's just been the donkeys.
They've just been the runners.
The workhorse, because you just go back to front. So maybe potential ability to change the style. Maybe?
Yeah, I think so. I think you can get the ball higher up the pitch and you can bring them guys into play. Like Thiago's got unbelievable quality and class. Yeah. Trent's shown from positions he can deliver a great, almost like quarterback style pass. Yeah. And then Dom and McAllister both bring goals and assists
to the table. Class, mate.
So I'm excited, and then Liverpool are going to start, providing nothing happens pre-season, with 5 fit forwards. You've got Jota, Diaz, Nunes, who's now going to have had a season under his belt. Cody Gakpo, that only came in January, has done relatively well. And then Salah.
I think he's from 5 strong. I think that Gomez. No, Nunes. I think he's only a matter of time. I think if he can go if he scores a goal in his first 2 games of the Premier League, I think floodgates will open. But I don't think he's ever going to be 25, 30 goal man, but I think he's going to score enough.
Yeah, I think he misses enough that he could then score a lot. So
that's what I say. You've got to be in the position to score, and it's only a matter of time.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for this season. All I want is everybody to be a little bit close to Man City. Yeah, and I'm hoping there's a hangover after the treble. I know Pep won't want that.
Grealish probably still has a literal hangover.
Yeah, literal hangover. But you can imagine that once you get to where you've been aiming for so long, there's always a kind of lull afterwards, and it's very difficult to try and maintain that. And if we look at Liverpool, for example, playing for 4 trophies the season before, and then coming to this one, only won 2 of them, just didn't start well.
No, exactly. I said this morning when talking, and we were saying exactly the same about people getting closer, that Liverpool will be closer. Where will City go? Has Pep got the energy left? Because once you hit the top of the summit, it's difficult. There's nowhere else to go, right?
Yeah.
So anything less than the treble next year is
deemed
a failure, or do they have to go for the quadruple? I don't know. I mean, the advantage, I think that, and I think we might have mentioned it, the advantage that City have over any of the teams who won the league is that they can actually go and refresh financially. So they've got rid of, or arguably one of the best players, Gundogan, and not batted an eyelid. Yeah. I've just gone, thanks for your service.
I like Djokovic, though, they brought in.
Jovetic from Chelsea. Yeah. But that's what I mean, so they've got the ability to do that, whereas Liverpool, when they started badly, but they've not really done anything in the market, really, for a year or two.
There's still talks that Liverpool might go back in for one more midfielder. Thuram's on that list.
Do you think that means if they do that one of Henderson or Thiago, is surplus to requirements?
I don't know. I think you're looking at age and competitions then that you could literally put out a completely different
squad. You've got 4 competitions to go in.
You could then go and put a completely different, because it's not a Champions League, you then don't have to play your best players. You could almost have a B-style squad that goes and plays in that European Conference or League or whatever it's called. So that would then be a nice rotation to keep people fresh for Saturday. When you're playing Champions League, majority of times you can't afford to then go, let's put our second string in. It's almost treating it like the Carabao Cup. Where you go, right, let's bring these guys in for these games, and then we'll refresh.
And in that conference thing, I think I've said before, one thing, UEFA have got the language wrong around it, because it's only like the old Cup Winners' Cup that we all grew up watching. So the language around it isn't very good, so people automatically have a down on it. But the second thing, there's some good teams in that.
Oh, there is some very good.
So you're saying, experience, right? Liverpool, I'm not that bothered about winning it, but we want to do as far as we can, but at the same time give more exposure to Harvey Elliott and the likes, then perfect platform.
Yeah, that's what I'd be looking at. And then I'll tell you what I wanted to do. Well, we'll talk a bit about some of the other transfers. Mason Mount, everything pretty much done and dusted now. They've eventually got it over the... I'm not sure what Chelsea are playing at.
It's just bizarre. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think to be fair to Mason Mount, if he's been told or he's not sure he's going to get much football and Man United are, then fair play to him for making the move.
But they've pushed a few players out of Chelsea this summer and then brought in some absolute unknowns.
Nick Jackson, I thought he was from the local Dog and Duck, mate.
Yeah, I've seen him play.
What, the Dog and Duck?
Up Park.
Yeah. 8-year contracts, he must be good.
Yeah, but they put everybody on them, don't they? I think that's financial fair play that allows
them to do that. Well, it's the last one, isn't it? Because I think the rule for that comes in at the end of July. Yeah. It's maximum 5 years or something.
Yeah, so Chelsea are making some strange moves in the market. United, but this is the one I want to talk about because it affects both Spurs and United, is that I was speaking to a United fan this morning, and he was saying to me that they don't think they're going to chase Kane.
No, I don't think so.
And when we discussed this, and I think you're completely right, is that if United wanted to get to that next step and be a challenger or a confirmed top 4, they'd need Harry Kane. So why spend 40, 50, 60 million to this Atlanta player that you don't know how well he's going to do in the Premiership, when you then go and spend maybe a little bit more, maybe another 10, 15, 20 million, push out 80 million for Harry Kane. You've got a proven goal scorer there that would thrive in a team that has the capabilities United has around him. because they've way more creativity than Spurs have. So why wouldn't United do that?
I said this. It's one of the points we talked about this morning. I said exactly the same. Don't get it. Plus, they know that Spurs, if that happens, Spurs would need another player. I don't necessarily mean a direct replacement. So they've got people there that, like Martial or Sancho. There's players there that there's talk of them moving on. So, like you say, offer 70, 75 million plus a player. All right, you might be paying over the odds, but so what? You want to get champions. The fans wouldn't care. No. Man United fans would not care if they sell Harry Kane. And don't give me the old, some of them mates was, but he's 20 hours. Rubbish. He's got 4 years left in him.
Yeah.
He's got 120 goals left in him at Premier League level, at least. So why on earth, when you want to go to the next level, where clearly, whether we like it or not, Ten Hag, I think there's something going there. I think. Why would you not do it? I don't know. And then from a Spurs point of view, I'm glad, because I want to see him stay. I want him to see the break the record and just see how he goes under this big Aussie.
Right. So there's twofold I want to ask at this point. One is the Glaziers holding on to try and squeeze some more money going to cost United in the market, because they're waiting, and if this deal with one of the two billionaires that they're going to deal with, would they have just automatically gone, here's the money for Kane, go and get him? Is that potentially going to cost United?
It looks that way, doesn't it? That because they've done nothing in the transfer market yet, have they? And that's unusual. So, I mean, I once heard through a dicky bird that the Glazers wouldn't sell for anything less than $6 billion.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know where we are with that at the moment.
I've heard we're around about 5.
Yeah, so if that's the rumour, then 5 or closer they'll probably sell. But that seems to have... Well, it's actually gone very quiet again, hasn't it? So you're right, it would look like, not even just for the Kane deal, that the dragging of that sale could cost them in the market. And ultimately, that means that if they come to the start of the season, they've got no striker really. Even if they get this Atalanta guy, other than Haaland, give me a striker who's hit the ground running in the Premier League. However well they've done elsewhere, I can't think of one. There will be one. Somebody out there will tell me one. So that as a Man United fan, you're back. Well, you're not even back to square one. You're not really moved forward. You bought Mason Mount in, who, to be honest though, he's very similar to he's just got more legs than Eriksen, hasn't he?
Eriksen, Fernandes, same players.
They're all just a bit younger, and I mean obviously the homegrown thing will be playing on their Champions League thing as well, wasn't it? So yeah, I would say that Man United fans are quite frustrated at the moment.
And then as a Spurs fan, and it's a good question, is I heard that Daniel Levy's going, I'm going to hold out, we'll let him go next year on a free.
Yeah.
Would you trade him now, get 80 million to then give your Aussie guy, there's 80 million, let's start a restructure, because that's what you need. You need there's a fair few lads topping up towards 30 that need stripping out that squad and a bit of energy and youth in there. Or do you hold Kane for one more season and hope that one of the other top 4 teams or top 5 teams has a bad season, you might be able to scrape in?
Yeah, I'll probably go for the latter, I think.
And let him go for free in the end?
Yeah, or the hope that maybe if we finish Champions League and win an FA Cup, that he signs a new deal. And I say that just purely because it's a bit of a fresh start for everybody. If we were sat here with Conte in charge or whoever, I would be the former. Let him go, let this guy. But the problem is with 80 million, it sounds a lot of money, but who are you going to get for 80 million? Yeah. The problem is we've got, give or take, 40 goals a season to make up.
Yeah.
And I don't think that getting 80 million with what we've already got and what you could potentially buy, I don't think you fill that gap.
But my worry for you guys is now that you've got the top 4 that finished there last year, so you've got City, Arsenal, Newcastle United. Chelsea won't be that bad again this season.
No.
Liverpool in that equation. That potentially puts you 7th.
Yeah, there's no doubt that there's a risk around keeping him and letting him go on free. Just as there's a risk about disappointment of it, because like I said to a fellow Spurs fan this morning, he said, when I've listened to his interview, he talks great. If you read an article that Pep did about him 3 years ago, very highly thought of, and yes, he's actually done very well in the managerial roles he's had, but my fear is he's a Bielsa. That you saw Leeds play this fast-paced, high-tempo stuff in the Championship, that worked for half a season in the Premier League, But then once sides work them out, and then Leeds, you can't bounce back as easy.
Do you think he's a one-trick pony?
I don't know. What I'm saying is that he's no doubt that he did great at Celtic, and actually watching some of the Celtic, some of the football was really good and Lex fun. But let's be honest, that league is really, really poor. It's not even Championship level, is it? No. His challenge is can he transfer his style and his way on better players?
It'd be interesting.
And is he just a one-trick pony?
It'd be interesting because he didn't. I don't think he set the world alight initially went to Celtic. It took him a while to find his feet. And unfortunately, the Premier League's not forgiving.
No, exactly.
And
right.
you could find yourself 10 games in, only won 2 games,
which is Kane's dilemma, I'd imagine. From Kane's point of view, he's like, do I risk it? Do I risk holding on if he wants to? I don't know. Do I risk holding on? I've still got till the end of whenever the window is, but then towards the end of the window, people want silly prices. So yeah, there's a lot. The positive side is we have done a bit of business already, and it looks on paper decent business. Maddison for 40, sell Winks for 10, so it's only cost us 30.
Yeah.
The goalkeeper apparently is very good. Know nothing about him.
No, he's because you were on point for getting Raya, weren't you? From Brentford.
I think they wanted too much money.
Brentford had done a few little deals to the market. Yeah, they just bought a new centre half as well.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Right, okay, right. Before because we were only making this a
Villa as well. Sorry, Villa worth a mention before we go. Pau Torres and Tillemans on a free.
Oh, Tillemans is a great sign, I think. And then talking about Villa, we may as well mention Gerrard. Just signed a deal to take over a team in Saudi.
Which he said 3 weeks ago he was never going to do.
No, some strange going on in Saudi. I'm not completely against it.
No.
I almost feel that when you hear Carragher speak and Neville speak, it's almost like arrogance of going, well, they should stay here. Well, no, not really, because if you look at it, we were the Saudis 20, 30 years ago when we restructured and became the Premier League.
Look at in the 90s, 80s, 90s, when English boys went to Spain and Italy. Yeah. Gaza, Lineker, Mark Hughes, Rush, they all went there. David Platt after the World Cup. And it was only when the Premier League was rebranded, or the division was rebranded to the Premier League, then all of a sudden, if you like, people started coming to us. So I think obviously there's the moral things around it that people, but I think when it comes to morals, I think every country's got to be a bit careful at times.
I think you're just casting aspersions. Right, so I'm going to put you on the spot now. Who wins the Premier League?
Man City.
Top 4?
Man City, Man United, Liverpool, Arsenal.
And it's going to be a hard one. Relegation.
Luton.
Yeah, completely.
Sheffield United.
Okay.
Who else came up? Burnley.
But Burnley would be quite strong.
I think they might have I mean, unless they start doing stuff, you can't rule out something like an Everton being down there again.
Brentford, no striker for the first 4 months of the season.
I think that third one's difficult, but if you wanted me to bet now, I'd probably go for the 3 that come up to go down, because I think that's always a fairly safe bet.
Right, question before we go. So I asked you this question the other day.
Yeah.
When was the last time the 3 newly promoted teams came up to the Premiership, didn't go down? It happened last season. All 3 new teams came up. Can you find out when?
Do you know
was
the
last
answer?
time? I haven't got a clue. So I'm asking you guys.
Before we go, one thing, have you seen what's gone viral on social media?
Is it me? Free kicks?
No, not quite. A club close to my heart. Football.
Boston, Lincoln? Boston? What's happened?
They've released their new kits, their home and away strips. They've gone back to Umbro.
Ooh, very old school.
They've gone to the old 90s look. They've gone viral.
Have they?
They are a thing of beauty. So perhaps when I return to the Shire,
you're going to go and get yourself a Boston top?
I might get one, I'll bring it back to you. But it's just like what the team wore. Tell you what it's like. So remember England's 1988 Euro strip with the sort of grandad collar and that. So Boston had that in amber and black back then, and it's a remodel version of that. It's gone viral.
There's a lot of teams doing that. Liverpool's away kit, the green and white. It used to be the green square, white square, green square, white square. They've gone very similar to that, and a modern take.
Honestly, they're an absolute thing of beauty.
I tell you, we may depending on how good Jack's contacts are, we may do another podcast in a couple of weeks' time.
Yes, I have got one little thing waging on that. We'll see. Fingers crossed.
We'll see that. But end of the day, Jack.
What do we know?